Of course, the secret is that everything's more fun with the kids than without the kids. That's the secret.
Mm-hmm.
Even the difficult days are more fun with the kids than without the kids. So I get bored when my children are not around. I get really
Really?
bored. It's not that I don't have things to do. I have lots of things to do. I'm always busy with something. But I get really bored. I get busy and bored at the same time when my kids are not around because kids always have interesting questions. They're always getting in the way and interrupting. They're always they're always doing something different. They're always being creative. Um, they're always exploring, and I like all those elements. I like being around my kids as much as possible. That doesn't make it easy, and it doesn't mean that it's not frustrating. Of course, it is because it's a challenge. Um, but but I like those. I like those things. I like the challenge. It's fun for me. Um, so that the point was about the technologies. We need to be we need to be up to date. We need to know what's coming. We need to be ready for. We need to be able to use it. I mean, I think how hard it is for old people today when everything is online. You have to register and pay for everything online, and it's really hard for people who haven't adapted to the technological systems, and that will continue more and more as things like as companies start to value the social scores of people on internet media platforms like Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. You know, companies are doing research on their employees in those areas. And a lot of the more advanced companies, and of course there's companies still doing things the old way, there always will be, but a lot of the more advanced companies, they don't advertise jobs anymore. They just go onto social media, find the people on social media doing what they like, and employ them. It's much easier for companies to find people. Now, those people who work within state systems, well, that's like the Stone Age, right? Because the state system is doing things the way that companies did things 200 years ago. Well, that's those are not leaders in their area. Um, so they're not working on their social media presence. They're not building up a social media platform. They're not communicating with people uh, through those mediums, and it's it's going to be a problem because students in the future are going to wonder why they don't have a job in the area where they studied. They won't have a job because they won't have a digital presence. They won't have a character in the digital world. They won't have a social score. I don't like the idea of social scores, but that's the way it's going. So we have to be aware of it. And people can still choose not to be part of it, that's fine. But when you think about it like this, there are at least 25 different internet platforms providing digital services of every type for between 5 to 50 euro. You can pay hundreds if you want, but you don't have to. So you can get any service from anybody anywhere on the planet for 50 euro digitally. So with the exception of, and look, and it used to be in the past. In fact, there's only one thing you can't get through the internet, really. It's food. You could add clothes to that, food and clothes, right? But and you can argue against that as well because you could say you can have it delivered. I can go online to Tesco.com or one of the other big supermarkets. I can type in what I want, and somebody will bring it to my door.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's the level of the more advanced technological systems now. And everything can be put in your hand. So I mean that makes schools kind of useless, really, because they're not doing any of that. Go and read and study this book and come back and tell me the answers. I want to hear about it. You can understand why students see school as useless. They're not going to need it in the future, because the Android that they have in their pocket, their mobile phone, is far more powerful than anything else. Which is why teachers have to transform themselves from instructors into mentors. The future of teaching is not in instruction, it is in mentoring. Well, I think it's going to happen naturally, because students have more information than they know what to do with. So they need to find somebody not to give them information, but to help them decide which information is important for them. We were talking before about like educating students about Shakespeare. No, teachers shouldn't even be worrying about doing that. There's more information about Shakespeare on the internet than they could ever get from their teacher, and it's better. It's better presented. It's more interestingly presented. So what's the teacher's job? The teacher's job is to filter the information in a way that motivates the students to access the information. And that's only if the students want it. I mean, if students don't want it, there's nothing anybody can do. I mean, you can't force feed people. If they don't want to eat, they don't want to eat. That's it. Or you put them under psychological pressure, which is what schools do to children. It's like, oh, you shouldn't. People worry about pressure in their jobs, but they never think about the pressure they're putting on the kids in the schools. Oh no, pressure, psychological pressure, it's stressful in work. What about this? What about the stress put on kids? Kids are asked to do just as much work as teachers, and everybody talks about teacher stress and pressure. No one talks about student stress and pressure. In their young minds. They're children. They're not ready for that. So there's a lot of things that we have to improve about the way schools are designed. And,
yeah, maybe.
And it will transform in the future, but slowly, as everything transforms slowly.